Hello, all my aviation fans. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be talking about an extremely important topic for flight instructors, and that is endorsements. Now, if you're a newer flight instructor and this is not something you're super familiar with, pay very, very close attention to what I'm going to talk to you about in this video. Did you know that there is over a dozen different endorsements that you need to give a student pilot before they're ready to take their private pilot check ride? And I'll bet you also may not know that if you make a mistake with even a single endorsement, you can face serious repercussions, potentially career-ending repercussions with the FAA. So it is absolutely critical that you do not make a mistake when giving your student an endorsement. To help you with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the workflow that I've created for myself to help me not rely on just my memory, but to have a systematic process to go through to make sure that I'm not making any of these endorsement mistakes. Stick with me because here we go. So what you can see on the screen here is a workflow that I built for myself in some software called Flowster to help me treat the training process like a highly repeatable and well-defined checklist each time that I do it. You can see over here, step number 34 is called pre-solo training. So the solo, or before the first solo, is the first time that you're going to be dealing with the endorsements you're going to have to give your student. Now, in FAR 6187, there are the pre-solo requirements for student pilots, and they are spelled out here in black and white. What I've done for myself is I've highlighted a couple of areas that I want to make sure I pay particular attention to. You can see C1 here that they've received and logged the flight training for the maneuvers and procedures of this section that are appropriate for the make and model of aircraft. And then in D are all of the 15 maneuvers. And you've got to make sure that all of these are actually logged in the comments section of the log entries that were the result of the training flights that you did with your student. Now, once you get ready for the solo with the student, in my case, I skip on down to section, task number 37. Big red letters to help me make sure that I don't forget any of this stuff or that I don't miss it. So before soloing, they must have the following, and that is a 6187B, and that's this stuff that you see on your screen right here. So student pilot must demonstrate satisfactory aeronautical knowledge on a knowledge test that meets the requirements of this paragraph. After that, then in task number 38, you've got pre-solo endorsement 6187C1 and 2 and 6187D. So for my convenience, first of all, I've got a link to the endorsement page on the FAA's website. Then I've got a screenshot of C1 and 2. And then I've got a screenshot of D so that when I'm giving this endorsement, I'm reading this section of my workflow. I am double checking that I've got all of this stuff done. And then if I'm using ForeFlight to give the endorsement, which many CFIs do these days, here's a screenshot of the correct endorsement from ForeFlight with the information that I need to fill in. And then I've got another area here where I sort of like a double check to make sure, has the appropriate training been received by the student? Yes or no? Has the appropriate training, has it been logged in the student's logbook? Yes or no? Well, then I'm going to go ahead and create and send this endorsement. And then because of the CFI record keeping requirements, and I believe those are in 61.189, if memory serves me correct. Yeah, flight instructor records, you can look them up. You need to keep this stuff for 3 years. And while ForeFlight definitely does keep a copy of this, if you let your ForeFlight subscription lapse, then you would no longer have access to those and you would be in violation of 61.189. So another item here to make sure that I screenshot the endorsement after it's been given to the student and I upload it to Google Drive. So that's the pre-solo. That's this one. Now you'll notice these are the workflow is not letting me complete them. That's because there are steps. There are actions in step 38 and 39 and 37 which have not been completed yet. So obviously this is a workflow for demonstration purposes. Then you have pre-solo endorsement 61.87N. And this is the first 90-day solo endorsement. So again, I have the a screenshot of exactly what it is, a screenshot of the for-flight endorsement that I'm supposed to give, and then my checklist again. Make sure that the students receive the training, make sure the requirements have been met, create and send the endorsement, and then upload a copy to Google Drive. And then finally, this one's not necessarily going to happen before the solo, but at some point in time, because they do have to get their night training, they're going to be doing some solo night flying. And in order to be able to legally do that, it's a 61870. Much like the other sections, I've got screenshots, I've got things highlighted for me, I've got the for-flight endorsement, and then I have my double checklist. So those are the pre-solo endorsements that you're going to need to do. Now, further on down the workflow in the cross-country section, we have 6193C1 and 2. And so that is the endorsement for solo cross-country flights. And again, highlighted stuff that I want to, and I'm not going to read you all this stuff that's on the screen because it's readily available in the FARs for you to read on your own. Then I've got another screenshot of the correct endorsement so that because a lot of times in for-flight, one endorsement looks a little bit similar to another. So you want to make sure that you choose the right one, that you're giving it, they've got the appropriate training, and that of course you are uploading your copy to Google Drive. Then we've got 6193C3. So now that you've got your student trained to fly solo to other airports, they must have the following endorsement to be able to conduct each individual solo cross-country flight. So in other words, you're probably going to be giving this endorsement to your students over and over again. Same format as before, screenshot of the endorsement of the regulations, screenshot there, and all of my double check stuff at the bottom. Then you're looking at an endorsement 6193B1, and this is if your student wants to be able to fly solo to other airports that are within 25 nautical miles from their home airport. So make sure that before you give this endorsement and you fill in the list of airports that they're all within 25 nautical miles. Don't just assume, oh yeah, that one's pretty close, because that could result in you giving an improper endorsement. And then next we have the endorsement 6193B2, and this is for those airports that are not more than 50 nautical miles from their home airport. Same thing again, all of the pertinent stuff I want to know, a screenshot of the correct for-flight endorsement, and all my double check activities. Now, as we move further on, we have a whole section here called endorsements needed for the check ride. The first one is the prerequisites for the practical test. That's a 6139A6, 1 and 2. After that one, there is a review of deficiencies endorsement, 6139A6, 3. So if the student scored less than 100% on their FAA written exam, they're going to need this endorsement. And when you review those deficiencies with them, you also need to make sure that you create a logbook entry that says you reviewed those deficiencies with them. Because if you're ever asked about this, you need to be able to show that you've done all of the things correctly the way they are described in the FARs. Now, step 70, we have the aeronautical knowledge endorsement. This is your 6135A1, 61103D, and 61105. So to be eligible for their check ride, your student must have this endorsement. And there's a whole bunch of information here that I want to read each time I'm giving this endorsement, because what you don't want to do is just be the ones, oh yeah, I got to quickly knock that endorsement out without thoroughly checking every single time that all of the things that you have to do are in fact done and logged and verified and double checked. And then finally, we have in step 71, the flight proficiency practical test endorsement. This is a 61103F, 61107B, and 61109. Again, in order to be able to take their check ride, the student must have this endorsement from you. All right, so that's a detailed explanation of the system that I've created to help me avoid making endorsement mistakes. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did and you'd like other CFIs to see this video, please do consider smashing that like button. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave those down in the comments below. And if this is your first one of my videos and you'd like to see more like this in the future, please consider becoming a subscriber here on YouTube and/or visiting my website, flywithtrent.com, where you can join the email list, and if you do, you'll get an email notification each time I produce a new long-form video like this. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you in another video soon. Take care. Bye-bye.